CJ, your favorite scuba diver here with Deep South Divers. Attaching my dry gloves there to my dry suit. Cruising down the steep dock ramp, and I'm going to go hop in the water. 46 degrees today, and that means that we've got some really clear water, which will be great to be diving in. Today's job is to attach this conduit to a piling, which goes across the bottom and up the other side on another piling. And so in between, I'll go ahead and add these sandbags, which I made up earlier. They're 50 pounds a piece. So 200 pounds of sandbag will hold that conduit down. And then each of the pilings will also have the conduit strapped to it, or actually they're like brackets. Alright, so once I'm happy with the placement of the sandbags, I'll go ahead and install these straps. Stainless steel straps, stainless steel nails, and they are used to attach the conduit directly to the piling so that when the current flows through there, it doesn't fatigue the conduit and eventually break it off. Normally when you're using nails and straps and that kind of stuff underwater, you can't use dry gloves because they're typically very thick, and if you spring a leak in one, then it's a real problem. But these gloves are great. These are Showa's 720s. They are nitrile gloves. They are thin and retain a lot of tactile feel, and yet are rugged enough that they don't get holes in them even when you're picking nails out of your pocket, out of your dry suit pocket.
You may ask yourself, what is that beautiful house? You may ask yourself.
Alright, so I'm done one piling, and I'm going to start on the other piling here. And if you watch very closely, you'll see that there's this weird blurring effect that happens. It looks like the camera goes out of focus. But it's not the camera that went out of focus. The water really does get blurry like this, so watch closely. See that? And I'm actually reacting to it as the diver. I'm thinking, what in the world just happened? Everything went blurry. So what I've theorized, blurry water is either a thermocline or halocline, which is either a salt content differential or a temperature differential that creates a blurring effect in the water. And so because I can feel no temperature differential, it must be a salinity differential. And so my theory is that when they drove this piling, they actually struck groundwater, and groundwater is actually coming out of the hole and causing that blurring effect. So here I'm going to do a little bit of testing and see what I can do to find some water flowing out of that hole. And yep, I am watching water flow right out of that hole, which means that they struck groundwater when they drove that piling. I'll go ahead and do a little bit of exploration around this piling, and I'm shocked to see that there is a huge hole on the other side of this piling. So I'll go ahead and install the last strap and be done the job so that I can start to explore that hole and find out exactly what's going on. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and start exploring. I'll put my face down in that hole, the lights down in the hole, and the camera down in the hole to try to figure out exactly how deep it goes, how big it is, and how it got created. Now, come to find out later on, the guys told me that they had used a pump to jet that piling in. In other words, they had a big pump that threw out a whole bunch of water, and they made a hole with that in the bottom and put the piling in. And the reason was because there's so much rock down there. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of check things out. And there's some of the rock. That is phosphate. That was actually part of the local economy for decades around the turn of the 20th century. That phosphate is used for fertilizer, or was at the time anyway. But you can see the water coming out of that hole, and 4 sandbags properly set up and spaced. I've got a chunk of phosphate in my hand. I'm going to make sure that that really is phosphate when I get home. And you can see my straps are in great shape and evenly spaced. And it is time to go home. You can hear me breathing pretty hard. That dry suit with all of the layers inside, it's pretty tough to move at all, much less be athletic and hop up and down the dock like that. Gorgeous area, gorgeous dock, and yours truly.